Discover the heartwarming truth. My daughter's call revealed an unexpected sale that changed my life forever as the sun sank low behind the maple trees, casting a golden hue over the small town of Maplewood. Jack wiped the grease from his hands and sighed. His trusty garage, a second home built on years of hard work, stood solemnly against the chilly autumn air. It had seen better days, and as Jack stared at the empty parking lot, he wondered if the warmth of laughter and loyal customers would ever return again. Suddenly, his phone buzzed in his pocket, rattling him from his thoughts. It was Mia. "Dad, you won't believe what I just heard." Her voice trembled with urgency. "The big box store is closing down for good. They've pulled the plug." Jack's chest tightened. The news felt like a punch to his gut. The retailer, which had promised a revival for their struggling town, was now just a memory, leaving behind nothing but uncertainty. "What does that mean for us as Mia?" he asked, trying to keep the tremor from his voice. She took a deep breath, her voice small. "There are rumors about Tom wanting to buy up the land next to us." Tom, a name that hung heavy in the air, brought a rush of anger and old grudges bubbling up. Jack could almost see him, with his smug grin, waiting to pounce on the last remnants of their family legacy. Jack's heart sank. He had poured his blood, sweat, and tears into that garage. It wasn't just a job, it was their family's foundation. He wanted to teach Mia values, show her the beauty of hard work, but now she had dreams of her own. Dreams that reached far beyond the boundaries of Maplewood. "But what about your future, Mia? College is coming up. You've got to think about Dad. My future is here. I want to help save the garage." Her voice rang with determination, igniting a glimmer of hope. Yet, with every passing moment, Jack wrestled with the idea of letting her go, fearing that Maplewood was becoming a memory itself. Before they could delve deeper, he hung up. Exhausted from the weight of uncertainty, he decided to organize a community fundraiser at the garage, hoping to rally their neighbors and revive their fading spirits. The day of the event arrived, and Jack's heart was heavy, but he was determined. However, as he looked around at the sparse turnout, the reality hit him hard. Friends he thought would support him merely nodded in pity. Fractures began to show. He felt a bitter resentment gnawing at him as eyes turned away, whispers filled with doubt. Just as he was about to concede defeat, Tom sauntered in, feigning concern. "Jack, this is quite the scene, isn't it? Let me give you a little brotherly advice." Tom laughed softly. The mockery stung, and Jack could feel his insides boil. The man had betrayed him before, and now he stood before him as if he could restore dignity to Jack's plight with his wealth. Amidst the chaos, it was Mia who emerged as a beacon, her spirit igniting the dwindling hope of their tight-knit community. "We can't let Tom have this place," she announced, rallying her friends and neighbors. The surge of unity was intoxicating, a reminder of how they could band together. Jack watched in awe, torn between pride for Mia's resolve and the fear of what that might mean for her future. This was their moment. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling that the storm was only beginning. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the night draped over Maplewood, uncertainty stagnated, and Jack stood at the crossroads. Would he fight for his family's legacy and risk his daughter's dreams, or would he let a shadow from their past dim the light of hope Mia was so eagerly trying to kindle? The answer hung unspoken in the cool night air, leaving both of them poised for whatever might come next. As night settled in, the excitement of the fundraiser spiraled into an odd mix of determination and despair. Jack felt the weight of unresolved tension pressing down. He could see his daughter animatedly discussing plans with their neighbors, her eyes shining like stars in the darkened garage. Yet, in the corner of his mind, the specter of Tom loomed larger. How could they compete with the wealth and influence he brought? Jack's breathing steadied as he took a deep breath. He scanned the faces of the dwindling crowd. Each familiar smile and encouraging word from neighbors boosted his hope, but the fear of failure still gnawed at him. Suddenly, Mia's voice broke through the haze of his thoughts. "Dad." She beckoned him over, her excitement electric. He approached, ready to embrace the flicker of hope she brought. "Look, I have an idea," she said, practically bouncing on her heels. "We could host a car show. Invite everyone. We can make it a festival with food, music, everything." Jack hesitated. A car show? He imagined the effort, the logistics, the pressure of it all crashing down on them, yet, there was something refreshing in her enthusiasm. "Also," Mia continued, "what if we created a GoFundMe page? We can reach even more people." His heart warmed. Mia had always been a natural leader, but seeing her run toward a challenge ignited a spark in Jack. "Okay," he conceded, his heart swelling with pride. "Let us do it." They spent the next few days planning. Jack was amazed by the way the community began rallying around them, sharing ideas and taking on roles effortlessly. It was inspiring. Each passerby felt the contagious spirit of resilience, and even those who had initially turned away started to lend a hand. Yet, with each building day, the shadow of Tom's intentions grew darker. Whispers floated around town about how he'd been eyeing the garage land for some time. It didn't escape Jack's notice. Tom was likely plotting a last-ditch effort to take his legacy and turn it into a commercial space, an empty husk of their town's history, devoid of warmth and laughter. On the eve of the car show, Jack was restless. He stood by the garage in the dim light, reminiscing about the first car they had worked on together. Memories flooded back as he recalled those shared afternoons filled with grease, laughter, and father-daughter bonding. This garage represented hope, hard work, and their shared dreams. Mia joined him. "Dad, are you okay?" Jack turned, forcing a smile. "Yeah, just thinking about all of this." Mia took a step closer, her eyes serious. "We'll show them, won't we?" Jack felt her resolve. "We will." That night, as they laid their heads down, the weight of uncertainty loomed large in the shadows. He closed his eyes, filled with hope and fear, not knowing if they would emerge victorious or if Tom would snuff out the light that Mia had sparked. The following morning, the sun rose brightly, illuminating the garage. Jack knew the stakes were higher than ever now. What if they failed? What if Tom succeeded? But just as anticipation crackled in the air, Mia's infectious determination began swirling in his thoughts, igniting a promise deep within him. "This is not just about a garage, it's about family, legacy, and hope," he whispered to himself as he slipped into his work boots. The day had come. Would the courage of this small town and the bond between a father and daughter be enough to fend off the storm gathering on the horizon? As he stepped outside, Jack glanced at Mia, her spirit a bright light guiding him forward, uncertainty mixed with hope swirling in their hearts. Yet, deep inside, Jack knew the biggest test was still to come. Would they truly have what it takes to challenge Tom's ambitions, or would they lose more than just a garage? The sun hung high, bathing the makeshift stalls and gleaming cars in golden light as the big day unfolded. Jack could barely grasp the reality of it. Their dream was materializing, but so were his fears. The frenetic energy of the car show buzzed around them, a cacophony of laughter, revving engines, and sizzling grills. Mia darted off to check on the food truck, her excitement palpable. He found solace in organizing the last touches, handing out flyers and guiding volunteers. Neighbors offered smiles and claps on the back. "We're rooting for you, Jack," they called out, their voices buoying him up like a warm wind. But as they set everything in motion, he couldn't shake the feeling that Tom would show up. The man had a knack for lurking, ready to wreak havoc when he least expected it. As noon approached, Jack stood on a small wooden platform, looking out over the sea of colorful vehicles. A sense of pride swelled in his chest. "All right, everyone," he shouted, and the chatter faded into an eager hush. Thank you for being here today. This isn't just about cars, it's about community and hope. His words landed like a wave, washing over those gathered, igniting cheers and applause among the crowd. He spotted Mrs. Taylor, their elderly neighbor whose heart was as big as her garden. She waved enthusiastically, a plate of homemade cookies in her hand. Jack waved back, feeling for a moment that perhaps everything would turn out all right. Just then, the rumble of a loud engine cut through the air and a sleek black car pulled into the parking lot. His heart sank as he recognized Tom behind the wheel. Tom stepped out, a confident smirk playing on his lips. A few heads turned, eyebrows raised. Jack's stomach twisted, he could sense the tension rising. What's he up to now? He muttered under his breath. Mia returned just in time to see Tom. Dad, is he here to ruin everything? No, sweetheart. He might just be here to remind us how much we've got at stake. Jack clenched his fists, trying to keep his composure. Tom sauntered over, greeting familiar faces as if he belonged. But Jack caught the glint in his eyes, a predatory flash that promised trouble. A car show, huh? Tom called out, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Impressive. You think this little community gathering is going to save your precious garage? Jack could feel the eyes of the crowd on them, a hush falling over the scattered chatter. We're here to show what this community means to us, he replied, standing taller, drawn by the very essence of the day. You think you can stand up to what I have in mind for that land? Tom challenged, laughter in his voice as it echoed off the distant walls. You're playing a losing game, Jack. Deep down, Jack's heart raced, but he held on to his resolve. It's not just about the garage, Tom. This is about family, legacy, and community. As Jack finished speaking, applause broke out from the crowd. His neighbors believed in them, and that belief ignited a raw determination within him. But Tom only smirked, crossing his arms, unyielding. Very noble, Jack. But dreams don't pay the bills. With a flutter of panic in his chest, Jack watched the wheels turn in Tom's mind. He had anticipated this. Would they have the strength to oppose Tom's arrogance? Mia, sensing her father's unease, squeezed his arm tightly. Dad, we won't let him drive us out. We can show him what we're made of. Jack looked at his daughter, realizing her spirit was their best weapon. As Tom turned his back to discuss something with his supporters, Jack leaned closer to Mia, whispering, let's just focus on today. Every car that drives and every name on the fundraiser page counts. As the afternoon passed, they channeled their energy into meeting every visitor, sharing stories, and filling the day with laughter. But Jack's heart ached, still burdened by knowing Tom would not back down easily. Could they truly withstand the looming threat? The festival continued, each moment building tension, yet the uncertainty of tomorrow lingered like a storm cloud overhead. What lay ahead would test not just their resolve but also the fabric of the community they cherished. Would they find a way to prevail, or would Tom's ambition fracture their hard-fought triumph? The crowd buzzed with excitement as kids ran between the cars, their faces lit with joy. Jack tried to absorb the energy, but he could still feel Tom's presence like a shadow lurking nearby. He glanced over to Mia, who was happily handing out cold drinks to guests. Seeing her smile grounded him. As the day wore on, Jack made his way through the throng, chatting with neighbors, sharing laughs, and hearing their plans for summer barbecues. But amid the laughter, Tom's taunts haunted him. Dreams don't pay the bills. The words echoed in his mind, cold and cutting. Each handshake felt like a reminder of what was at stake. He approached Mrs. Taylor, who was admiring a particularly shiny red Mustang. Your cookies are the star of the show, Jack exclaimed, taking a bite of the delicious treat she had baked. She chuckled, the wrinkles around her eyes deepening. It's the people, dear. You and your girl are bringing us together. That warmth resonated with Jack, setting his determination ablaze again. He took a deep breath, trying to push Tom and his threats to the back of his mind. He had more than just cars to fight for, he had this community, and that meant everything. But just as Jack started feeling positive, he heard the familiar low rumble of Tom's voice again. "Having fun, Jack?" "Too bad it's temporary," Tom called out from a distance, drawing attention with his dramatic tone. The crowd's murmurs mixed with uneasy laughter. Jack's heart raced. "Stop engaging him," Mia whispered, moving beside her father. "Let us focus on the people who care." Her intensity lit a fire inside him, and Jack nodded, grateful for her steadfast support. As the afternoon turned to evening, Jack formed a plan. They would hold a charity auction later, with bids helping to raise money for the garage. He saw Mia racing around, putting together items people could donate. Every item told a story. A vintage tire from Mr. Holloway, memorabilia from old races, and paintings by local artists. Finally, the sun began to dip low in the sky, a canvas of oranges and purples painting the horizon. The lights from the stalls twinkled on, illuminating faces filled with warmth and courage. Jack took a moment to soak it all in. He felt a swell of pride, this was theirs. But just then, he caught a glimpse of Tom again, conspiracy brewing in his eyes. Jack's heart dropped as he noticed Tom whispering into the ear of a couple who had just arrived. They looked perplexed, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that Tom was plotting, perhaps working to dismantle the art of what they had built together. "Don't worry, Dad. We'll figure this out," Mia said, sensing his distress. "They see what we're doing. We can win them all over." Jack turned to her, a determined look breaking across his face. "You're right. We will focus on what we can control. Let us get the auction started." He moved to the center of the gathering, his voice strong. "All right, everyone. Thank you again for coming together today. We're not only celebrating cars, but we're saving a legacy." As Jack spoke, energy sparked in the crowd. He glanced over to Tom, who was now fuming. Jack felt a sense of satisfaction. He could almost see the fire igniting in the community. But just as enthusiasm swelled, he could feel a wave of apprehension roll in. Would their collective heart be enough to stand against Tom's ambitions? As the auction began, Jack's heart raced, filled with hope and uncertainty. What was Tom's next move? And could they keep their dream alive against such a daunting foe? Jack gripped the microphone, ready for anything to come. The challenge had just begun. Jack felt the weight of the microphone in his hand as the crowd settled, their attention focused on him. Each face reflected a mix of excitement and hope. The energy was palpable, and he knew they were all there for the same reason, to preserve something truly special. He cleared his throat, took a deep breath, and launched into the auction. Let us kick things off. First up, we have Mr. Holloway's unique vintage tire. It symbolizes the hard work and dedication of this community. As he spoke, the crowd murmured in appreciation. The bidding began, and Jack felt a surge of adrenaline. One by one, items went under the hammer. A painting by a local artist ignited a bidding war. Laughter bubbled up from the audience as the price climbed higher. Jack couldn't help but smile. This was the spirit of the town he adored. But through it all, he caught glimpses of Tom. The tension from earlier hadn't dissipated. Tom stood at the periphery, arms crossed, a smirk playing on his lips as he watched the crowd's enthusiasm. Jack's chest tightened. He couldn't shake the feeling that Tom was plotting something more sinister, a way to exploit their newfound unity. Going once, going twice, Jack called, the excitement of the bids making his heart race. As the last item sold, a cheer rose from the crowd, but Jack noticed Tom leaning in again, this time to a group of potential buyers who seemed distracted by his words. Jack's stomach nodded. The auction had been a success, yet it felt incomplete without addressing Tom. Folks, as we close this event, let us remember why we're here, Jack said, summoning every ounce of courage. We've seen today what we can achieve when we stand as one. We cannot allow anyone to tear us apart. As the claps and cheers erupted, he caught Mia's eye. She nodded, a silent reassurance. They faced the crowd together, a united front against the uprooting storm that Tom represented. Just then, he heard Tom's voice cutting through the celebration. "You think this changes anything? You're just delaying the inevitable." The crowd quieted, turning back to Tom, faces painted with uncertainty. Jack stepped forward, his heart racing. "No, Tom. You're wrong. This is not just a fundraiser, it's a celebration of what brings us together, a community built on trust and teamwork." The fire in his voice stirred murmurs of agreement, people nodding, rallying around their shared passion, but Tom held his ground, eyes gleaming with mischief. "Is it? Or is it just an illusion? You've built this on hopes and dreams, but dreams can be shattered." His words tainted the air, a threat hanging like a storm cloud. Jack felt the collective pulse of the crowd, their anxiety rising. "We won't let you shatter anything. We are stronger together." He glanced at Mia, who seemed to recognize the mounting tension. Before he could continue, Tom pushed harder. "Then prove it. Show me you can survive this, Jack." As the challenge echoed among the crowd, Jack sensed the doubt lingering in the air, but in that moment, a voice broke through the tension, a young boy holding a small toy car. "Are we gonna fight? I wanna see more races." The innocence in his words broke the seriousness and stirred laughter, easing the tension like a balm. Jack seized the opportunity. "Exactly. We won't fight amongst ourselves, we'll show Tom what we can create together, not just today but for years to come." The crowd erupted in enthusiastic cheers, confidence returning. As the evening drew to a close, Tom stepped back, visibly unnerved by the shift in energy. Jack felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they had turned a corner, but deep down, he knew Tom would retaliate. What was Tom planning? How far would he go to tear them apart? Jack's resolve hardened as he looked at Mia. He would do everything to protect what they loved most. The fight wasn't over, it had only just begun. The next morning arrived crisp and bright, the sun casting golden rays across the sleepy town. Jack felt energized despite the weight of uncertainty on his shoulders. After an invigorating run, he took a deep breath, the fresh air filling his lungs, clearing his mind. He tapped away at his phone, scrolling through messages from the group of volunteers who had rallied behind the auction. Their enthusiasm brought a smile to his face. Yet, his thoughts drifted back to Tom. The man was relentless, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that Tom had something up his sleeve. Was it intimidation or a plan of revenge? Either way, Jack needed to stay alert. As he sipped his morning coffee, a persistent knock interrupted his thoughts. It was Mia, her face flushed with excitement. "Jack. You've got to see this." "See what?" he asked, curious. Mia held up her phone, displaying a social media post that had gone viral overnight. It was a video clip of the auction's highlight moments, including Tom's arrogance and Jack's rallying cry. Everyone's talking about how uniting made us stronger. "Look at the comments," she urged. Jack glanced over the words of encouragement, the supportive messages pouring in. But just as he began to feel a flicker of hope, a comment stopped him cold. "Tom's gonna retaliate. Watch your back, Jack." "Great," he muttered, his stomach turning. "Just what we needed." Mia crossed her arms, her brow furrowed with concern. "We can't let Tom get to us. We have to keep pushing forward." "Right," he replied, his voice slightly trembling. "But we need a solid plan. I can't keep ignoring him." They spent the rest of the morning huddled over rumpled papers and ideas. They brainstormed events and initiatives that would strengthen their community, focusing on everything that connected them. Mia suggested a series of street fairs, local sports events, anything that would foster togetherness. Jack nodded, enthusiasm slowly building. But doubts crept in with every idea. "What if Tom sabotages us?" he asked, rubbing his temples. "What if he makes it impossible to succeed?" "I believe in us," Mia replied fiercely. "And I believe in this town. We'll announce our plans at the park next weekend. Let's draw everyone in again." Show them we're more than just a moment. Just then, Jack's phone buzzed emphatically. It was a message from a number he didn't recognize. Curiosity piqued, he opened it and felt his pulse quicken. Jack, you need to know what Tom has planned. Meet me at the diner. You'll want to hear this. A friend. Beneath the urgent message, his heart raced. Who would reach out like this? Could it be a trap? Jack exchanged a quick look with Mia. She sensed his anxiety. You can't go alone, she insisted. Trust me, I need to know what I'm dealing with, he replied firmly. As he moved to leave, Mia's voice softened. Just promise me you won't do anything reckless, okay? He nodded, heart heavy with the weight of their mission. I won't. After slipping into his jacket, Jack glanced back at Mia one last time, her concern evident. He stepped out and made his way to the diner, the shadows of doubt trailing behind him. As he approached the familiar corner booth, he felt a sense of foreboding settle in his chest. Who had sent the message, and what truth lay waiting for him? The door chimed softly, and he stepped inside, determination mingled with anxiety. The diner was bustling, but eyes immediately turned to him. And at the booth was a figure he hadn't expected to see. Jack's breath caught in his throat. What are you doing here? As the stranger smirked, Jack braced himself, knowing this meeting could change everything. What would this person reveal about Tom and his plans? In that moment, he realized that truth can be as dangerous as a lie, and what he uncovered might just alter the fate of everything they'd fought for. Jack's heart raced as he stood frozen, staring at the familiar face across the booth. It was Sarah, a childhood friend he hadn't seen in years. She looked different, her hair was longer, and her smile had a sharp edge of mischief that made him both wary and intrigued. Sarah? Why are you here? He asked, trying to mask the shock in his voice. He took a hesitant step forward, lowering his voice. Is this a setup? I need to know what you want. She leaned back, crossing her arms, the playful smirk still lingering. You always were the cautious one. No, I'm not here to ambush you. I heard about the auction and thought you might need a little insight on Tom. The mention of Tom sent a ripple of unease through him. What do you know? Let's just say Tom is far from done. And if you're planning on doing this community event, you need to be careful, she said, lowering her voice even further as a group of diners passed their booth, casting curious glances. Jack's instincts screamed caution. You're telling me he's plotting something? Not just plotting. He's got something big lined up, and it could sabotage everything you're working for. She leaned in, her blue eyes locking onto his. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't serious. He narrowed his gaze, uncertainty mixing with a hint of hope. What do you know? Sarah took a moment before continuing. Tom's rallying his supporters, people who don't want to see you succeed at this auction. They want to restore the status quo, Jack. You need to prepare yourself for a counteroffensive. One that'll hit you where it hurts. Jack felt his stomach churn. What does he plan to do? You're being vague. I can't tell you everything. But I can tell you be ready for rumors, signs, sabotage, anything to make you look bad. He won't play fair. Jack rubbed his temples, struggling to digest her words. The tight knot of anxiety in his chest twisted further. And how do you know all this? I still have friends in town, she replied, a flicker of vulnerability crossing her face. People keep their ears open. You might not trust me, but I don't want to see you fail. For a second, Jack hesitated. He wanted to push her away and chalk this up to her being an unreliable source. But the urgency in her voice was undeniable. It felt far too real. Why are you helping me? Because, Jack, we may have gone different ways, but I still care about this town. I remember what it was like when we banded together to stand up to the bullies. It's in our blood, isn't it? Jack swallowed hard, reconsidering. So, what do I do next? Get your allies lined up. Organize your community event quickly and invite everyone. Show them you're serious and ready to stand up against Tom. But don't be naive, he'll come for you when you least expect it. Just then, the door swung open again. A gust of cold air swirled in, and Jack's gaze was drawn to the entrance. A couple of Tom's friends strutted in, loud laughter cutting through the diner's ambience. Jack's pulse quickened, instinctively knowing they were here to check on him. "Sarah, I need to go," he whispered urgently, standing up. "Remember what I said." "You're not alone in this," she replied, her voice low. As he turned to leave, her words echoed in his mind. The specter of Tom loomed larger than he had imagined. What if Sarah was right? What if the fight was just beginning? Outside, the brightness of the day clashed with the shadows creeping into his thoughts. He needed a plan, fast. Navigating uncertainty had never been easy, but now it felt like he was trapped between a battle he wasn't ready for and the community he had to protect. What would he do next? How could he stand up to Tom? Jack clenched his fists, determination surging. But just before he took another step, his phone buzzed again. This time it was Mia. "Jack, we need to talk. Something's happened. Please call me back." He took a deep breath, understanding that the stakes were higher than ever. Was this yet another twist in the danger that was closing in on them? Jack staggered back, the message on his phone screaming urgency. Mia's voice echoed in his mind, twisting his emotions into a tight knot. He felt the world around him blur. Could it be about the auction? He had so much at stake. Everything had to go perfectly. He quickly dialed Mia's number, trying to steady his racing heart. She picked up on the second ring, her breath shaky, concern etched in her voice. "Jack. I'm glad you called back. You won't believe what just happened." "What is it?" His voice was clipped, but concern flooded through. "Is it about the auction?" "Yes, it's not just about that. You have to get here now. There's something important you need to know." Jack glanced over his shoulder, the laughter of Tom's friends spilling out of the diner and echoing in his memory like a distant alarm. He didn't want to be caught off guard. "Mia, where?" "Meet me at the cafe on Main," she said quickly, her words tumbling out. "I'll explain everything when you get here." Jack hung up, the frantic rush of her words still hanging in the air. He couldn't shake the feeling of something ominous weaving through his plans. Tom and his crew may have been planning their attack while he was busy dealing with Sarah's warning. He hurried down the street, his mind racing faster than his feet. He pushed past thoughts of what Sarah had said and his own worries about the auction. As he approached the cafe, he couldn't help but imagine how he would face Tom. Visualizing it gave him a sliver of strength. The cafe was buzzing with midday activity. The scent of fresh coffee mingled with the chatter and laughter of patrons. Mia sat at their usual corner table, worry etched on her brow, fingers tapping nervously against her cup. "Jack." She stood up as he approached, her expression shifting between relief and distress. "Thank goodness you're here." What's going on?" he interrupted, scanning the room for any potential eavesdroppers. "What happened?" Taking a deep breath, she sat back down, her voice now low and urgent. "I heard some things about Tom, more than I thought. He has a plan, and it involves not just the auction but something bigger. He's been buying up properties, Jack. One's connected to the event." His stomach tied in knots. "What do you mean?" Mia glanced around, before leaning closer. "He's looking to displace families, people who rely on those places in our community. He's not just trying to hurt you, he wants to tear this whole thing apart. I found out he's planning to announce it soon, before the auction." Jack felt the heat rising to his face. "So that's his move. But why now?" "Because he knows you're a threat. You're uniting the community, and he needs to stop you before he loses power," Mia replied, her eyes wide with intensity. "He thinks he can create doubt, fear, even ruin reputations. He's counting on it. Just as the weight of her words sank in, a commotion erupted at the entrance. The door flew open, and a group of Tom's supporters stormed in, their laughter morphing into an ominous silence as they locked eyes with Jack. "This isn't just about you anymore, Jack. It's about everyone," Mia whispered, her eyes darting around. Her face hardened, a mix of fear and resolve. "We have to expose what he's doing. We have to warn the others." Jack met her gaze with a firm nod. The surge of determination surged back. They weren't just going to sit back and allow Tom to wreak havoc. But before he could speak, one of Tom's friends approached their table, crossing his arms with a smug smile. Well, look who's stirring trouble. Planning to make your last stand, Jack?" Tension crackled in the air as Jack's heart raced, a new fire igniting in him. How would he respond? What could he say to gather his allies against the brewing storm? As the challenge hung there, a familiar glint caught his eye. A scrap of paper crumpled in the friend's hand, a flyer. What secrets did it hold? Jack took a breath, knowing this confrontation could change everything. But would he expose the truth or succumb to Tom's assault? The choice lay before him, heavy and real. Would he rally his community or watch it fall apart? Jack felt the weight of the room pressing down on him. The laughter had died, the energy shifted sharply, leaving a sharp tension in its wake. He swallowed hard, his eyes narrowing on the crumpled flyer that seemed to taunt him from Tom's friend's grasp. What was on it? Was it the information Mia had warned him about? "Why don't you show everyone what you've got there?" Jack challenged, his voice stronger than he felt. The table around him fell silent, eyes flickering between the two men, a mix of curiosity and unease. Tom's friend smirked, clearly enjoying the spotlight. He held the flyer up, flicking it open with a flourish. "This little baby? It's a list of properties set to be auctioned off, and guess who's on it?" His eyes glinted with malicious glee. "You, Jack. The community's supposed savior. But newsflash, your reputation isn't as shiny as you think." The words hit Jack like a punch to the gut. The murmur of voices in the cafe became a backdrop to his anger and disbelief. "What are you talking about? What's that supposed to mean?" "I think you know, don't you? Your little crusade? Everyone's waiting to see if you can pull this off. But we all know it's a matter of time before you trip up. Can't save the day when you're drowning." He laughed, and his followers joined in, the sound echoing like a death knell in Jack's ears. Mia leaned closer, her voice now a whisper. "Jack, we need to address this. We can't let them turn the community against you." "Wow, look at you two, plotting in the corner." Tom's friend thrust the flyer closer. "You should know, the word is out. Everyone's buzzing about the scandal. Your precious auction? It's going to be a joke." Jack could feel the adrenaline coursing through him as his mind raced. He remembered the faces of the people in the community. Families depending on their homes. It wasn't just about him, it was about everyone. "You don't know what you're messing with." The threat in his voice was unmistakable. At that moment, Jack's thoughts were interrupted by a soft sound. It crept through the din. An elderly woman had stood up at the back of the cafe. Her eyes shone with concern as she raised her hand. "Jack, what's happening?" Her voice trembled, cutting through the crowd like a knife. The spotlight shifted to him. He took a deep breath, grounding himself. "They're trying to intimidate me, he called out. "They think they can scare us into silence. But we can't back down." A ripple of murmurs and nods began to spread through the cafe. The realization sparked in Jack's chest: the community wasn't just a collection of individuals, it was a living, breathing entity that thrived on resilience. "Everyone, we've got to stand together," Jack shouted, his heart racing. "This isn't just about me. We're fighting for our homes, our families, our dreams." The elderly woman took a step forward, joining him with her small frame but fierce spirit. I believe in this community. We have to support each other." Seeing her bravery, others began to speak up. Voices rose, a chorus of support cutting back against the tension in the cafe. Jack felt the swell of hope, igniting a spark within. This was how they would fight back, but then, just as Jack was gaining his footing, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket. Heart racing, he fished it out, glancing at the screen. It was a message from Sarah, but this time, it wasn't a warning. "Jack, you need to know the truth about Tom. Meet me. I have evidence." Jack froze, the weight of that moment striking him hard. What could this mean? Why was Sarah reaching out again? Glancing around at the crowd, he felt the renewed drive within him. Their eyes were filled with hope, but uncertainty hung in the air. Could he unravel the truth? Could he turn this into a far bigger victory than he ever imagined? His mind raced as he looked to Mia, who was watching in silent agreement, and back to Tom's friend, whose smug grin had faded. The stakes had just gotten much higher. "Let us see what Sarah has to say," Jack muttered under his breath, determination burning in his chest. What lay ahead would either unite or shatter everything they had worked for. Would uncovering the truth be the turning point? Or would it lead to greater chaos? The moment of truth loomed closer. Jack stood before the crowd, his heart pounding like a drum against his ribcage. He could feel the eyes of his neighbors on him, the murmurs of uncertainty swirling in the cafe. With every ounce of courage he had, he shifted his focus from fear to determination. "We are not just fighting for a garage, but for the soul of our community," he shouted, the fire in his voice catching the attention of even Tom's crew in the corner. Mia leaned closer, her voice steady. "We can't let them intimidate us. We have to expose the truth about Tom. We need to rally everyone before he has a chance to take this community apart." Jack nodded, steeling himself for what lay ahead. The stakes had never felt higher, not just for himself, but for the people he cared about. "That's right," he called out, "this community is built on trust, love, and hard work. We won't let anyone tear it down." The elderly woman from earlier stepped forward again, her resolve shining through her fragile frame. "We stand together, Jack. We built this town with our hands and hearts." A wave of solidarity surged through the cafe like electricity. Jack could feel it buzzing in his veins, lifting him, propelling him forward. He quickly glanced back at Tom's friend, whose smirk faltered as murmurs of agreement echoed back from their neighbors. The tide was shifting. Mia picked up on the energy as well. "We have to act fast. We can't give Tom time to regroup. If he's plotting, we need to turn it against him." Jack's heart raced with possibilities. "We can hold an emergency meeting in the park tomorrow. Everyone needs to know what's at stake. We'll gather support, share the truth about Tom's intentions, everything. Let us create flyers and get them distributed tonight." Mia's excitement was palpable. Jack looked around at the faces in the cafe. They were invigorated, ready to take action. "Let us do it," he shouted, and cheers erupted in response. Just then, Jack's phone buzzed fiercely in his pocket again. He fished it out, glancing at the screen. It was Sarah. "Meet me tonight. I have what you need." The tension in his gut swirled as he felt a wave of urgency. "I need to go," he declared, looking straight at Mia. "I have to see what Sarah has to say, but I won't do this alone. We're all in this together." Mia's eyes sparkled with determination. "I'm coming with you. We'll face whatever it is together." And with that, they turned to the crowd, rallying their support once again. "We need to prepare for tomorrow. Spreading the word is crucial." As they stepped outside, the crisp air met them like a fresh start. Their movements were quick, every step fueled by the momentum they had generated in the cafe. Side by side, Jack and Mia felt the weight of responsibility lift slightly, replaced by a sense of purpose as they devised their plan. That evening, the cafe buzzed with people writing flyers, their connection strengthening as laughter and chatter filled the air. Jack stopped in the hallway for a moment, watching the community around him. This was it. They were standing up together. They were claiming their legacy and protecting their dreams. Late into the night, Jack met Sarah at the park. "Thank you for coming," she said, her expression earnest. "What do you have?" Holding a folder tightly against her chest, she began unfolding documents, spreading the truth about Tom's deceitful actions. He's working with developers who want to change everything that makes this town special, places that are near and dear to so many of us. Jack's eyes widened at the implications. The plans Sarah showed him were tangible property plans indicating what Tom intended to do. "This is huge," he muttered, feeling the anger boil within him. "We can't let this happen." Sarah nodded. "You need to share this with the community. We'll have evidence they can't ignore. But I warn you, be ready for a fight. Tom will retaliate, just like he always does." Jack clenched his fists, resolve tightening in his gut. "Then we fight back. We take a stand together, our community against his greed." The following day dawned bright, the sun shining down on Maplewood as Jack and Mia stood before a crowd in the park. "Today is the day we reclaim our home," Jack began, his voice ringing with conviction. "What Tom has planned isn't just about buildings. It's about destroying our history, our families, and the love that binds us. We have the truth on our side, and we need to unite to make our voices heard." As he spoke, the crowd stirred, their spirits ignited. Jack saw the passion in their eyes, the determination to protect what they cherished. Mia stepped up next, sharing the plans Sarah had uncovered, each revelation striking a chord. With their community behind them, signatures poured in, pledging support against the developers. Old rivalries faded as shared laughter filled the air and families stood shoulder to shoulder. Together, they were bringing Maplewood to life, with every car, every home, and every person worth fighting for. But just as Jack felt hope blooming, Tom faced them again, flanked by his supporters. Silence washed over the crowd as Tom spoke, his voice dripping with disdain. "You really think a few old friendships will stop progress? I own land that's poised for growth." Jack stepped forward, fearlessly meeting his gaze. "You may have land, but you will never own the hearts of this community." The crowd surged behind Jack with a wave of unity, their voices joining in a chorus of defiance. With every shout, every cheer, they began to reclaim their home. What erupted next was an unstoppable force, a movement born from shared hopes and dreams. Onto Tom had crumbled the slick veneer he wore. The crowd surrounding Jack had doubled, tripled, unified into a collective heart that beat for Maplewood. With tears of joy and resolve, they stood together, neighbors, families, and friends, rejecting fear in favor of love. And in that moment, Jack realized that legacies are built not just on foundations of brick and mortar, but on the hearts of the people who share them. Jack and Mia looked at each other, pride and determination etched on their faces. They had transformed a struggle into an opportunity, a community into a family. With every laughter shared, every car shown, they reclaimed their town, and the spirit of Maplewood soared again. This was just the beginning of their journey, one they would seize with both hands as they faced whatever challenges lay ahead. But as laughter mingled in the good air, Jack knew one thing for sure: they had found their strength, their home, and a future built on the beauty of togetherness. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because it really makes a difference in sharing these kinds of stories. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. And for the love of Maplewood, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.